Hello traders, welcome to a new video on unfinished auctions. Unfinished auctions are a different kind of indicator that we typically don't look at. It's an indicator that provides us magnetization. So typically when we use indicators, we use them for bullish or bearish signals. We use them for additional confluence, maybe support resistance levels. But a lot of the time we don't use indicators that tell us which way price is more likely to head. Not exactly bullish or bearish, but just which way is price more magnetized toward and to what extent. And that's what unfinished auctions do. And this is an order flow indicator. I think it's available on ATAS, maybe some other order flow sites as well that can do this. And really, to capture why and what this indicator does, first, you're going to want to think about the market as more of an auction. And I made a video called Auction Market Theory that you can go watch. Click link in the description below for that one. And in Auction Market Theory, I talk a lot about how price likes to finish and resolve auctions. The good news is we now have an indicator that we can use that will tell us when an auction has been unresolved, unfinished, and when an auction has been resolved. So here's what you are looking at. When you see red, that means that at the top of a candle, there was both a market buy and a market sell. When you see blue, like here, that means that at the bottom of a candle, there was both a market buy and a market sell. The reason why we're interested in looking for price highs, price lows, where there were both a market buy and a market sell, is because that represents that there was a significant amount of trading interest at a level. And typically, when you see a lot of traders, both sides, interested in transacting at a level, price is more likely than not to continue to transact at that level. Why does that occur? Well, imagine, let's just do a quick example. So price is transacting here at this point in time. And we have two unfinished auctions above and no unfinished auctions below, right? Basically what this means is that up here, there were many traders who were making transactions. Down here, there were not as many traders who were making transactions at those price highs and price lows. So which way is price more likely to go? Well, if more people are interested in trading at these levels and not many people are interested in trading at these levels, then it would make sense that the majority of transactions, or really where price is going to go, is going to be where people are most comfortable trading. So basically, you can use this indicator as simple or as complex as you would like it. But you can see that where were these auctions actually started and how do they form? I do want to show my settings just to start, just because I know that I'm going to get a gajillion questions on that. These are my settings. Okay, cool. Just want to show those. What do we see here? Well, take a look at this price high here right before price fell. At that point in time, there was both a market buy and a market sell at that price high. And you can see the price went down and never really resolved this auction, meaning that the traders who were interested in transacting here, they did, and they were not able to transact anymore. So this was unfinished. This auction became resolved or finished right there at the price high. Now, you can use these as support or resistance levels. You know, you could try to sell up here. You could try to maybe, buy down here once an auction resolves. But the way that I like to typically do it is what I had mentioned before, where we trade magnetization, where we expect that price is more likely than not to complete or resolve these auctions. As you can see at this point in time, we had two auctions to the upside, two unfinished auctions to the upside, and 0 auctions to the downside that were unfinished. And if you just scroll back in time and go check, you can see that the majority of these auctions do finish. So how do we trade this? Well, if you see many unfinished auctions, for example, here at this point in time, you could potentially think about shorting, if other factors of confluence, of course, came. And you'd probably want to close your short or think about taking profit once all of these auctions resolve. And you can see they all eventually did resolve. Even this unfinished auction that had been unfinished for quite some time, this one did resolve as well. Now, I'm using XBT USD. You can also look at FUSD on BitMEX, or if you even wanted to, you could look at any cryptocurrency, that you want to look at. Typically, I find that futures or perpetual swaps, such as XBT USD, FUSD, are a little bit better for unfinished auctions than something maybe like BNB BTC because of how tight this order book is, and really the Binance order books aren't going to be aren't going to be exactly one tick away. I know the scale's a bit off. But this is recent market data. The thing I was showing before was not recent market data. So what do we do here? Well, you can see that this was actually a pretty good trading opportunity. We had an unfinished auction down here. And if you had seen this and you expected the price was going to resolve this auction, you could have shorted and then, maybe taken profit or held as a continuation pattern of that unfinished auction. Another thing that we can see is we have 3 unfinished auctions to the upside currently. We have one there, we have one there, and we have one there. And we have one pretty large unfinished auction to the downside at 54.50. I want to see how that one formed. Yeah, that one formed down there. So that's a pretty good unfinished auction there. As you can see. And if we zoom in, and if I actually change this to cluster charts, you're going to see something that's going to make this a lot more sense. You can see that, do you see where that says 91 and 8? I don't know if you guys can totally see that because the coloring is a bit not helpful here. But you can see that typically at the price high, we get a 0.74. And what that means is here we actually had market selling, but we didn't have any market buying at that high. So that's not an unfinished auction. Here we had 91 market sold and 8 market bought at that high. So that is an unfinished auction. Here we had 28 market sold and 4 market bought. Now, when I say these numbers, 28, 4, and so on, really what I'm saying is you have to multiply that by 1,000. So I'm talking about in thousands of volume for these values. So this would be 288,000. This would be 74,000. This would be 0,000, I guess. But you don't really exactly need the indicator even. You could use this on any site that gives you cluster data, So let me zoom back out and go back to my favorite transparent candles, and let's go take a look at the 5-minute. Hopefully the scale isn't completely off. Oh Lord, yep. That scale is not beautiful. Okay. I'm trying to get as much data in here as I can with the 5-minute. So yeah, it does look like we have some unfinished auctions down here, some trading interest down at those levels on the 5-minute. We can go take a look at Ethereum, and go check the unfinished auctions there. Oh, this one is a hotbed of unfinished auctions. And that is really interesting right down there. You can see just how many times unfinished auction resolved. Unfinished auction resolved. Unfinished auction, yeah, it's resolved. Unfinished auction. Just so many traders were interested in trading here that I wouldn't be shocked if price came back down to here to just resolve this auction because of how much trading interest we had there. Here as well, we do have an unfinished auction up there and an unfinished auction there. And an unfinished auction here. I can look on the 1-minute just to see for more unfinished auctions, and the scale is not in my favor. Okay. But you can see that we do have an overhead here, unfinished auction. We have an unfinished auction down here as well, as you can see. But one thing I do want to check is typically we're going to be using this on these two basically, but I haven't looked at this yet, but I can actually look at maybe an altcoin futures, so such as the ADA-M19, and we can go check out the unfinished auctions there that seem to be interesting. Apologies for the scale. The scale here is not really that helpful. This is a really interesting unfinished auction. So someone market bought and another trader market sold at that direct bottom. So that's interesting. We have a lot of unfinished auctions down here, so maybe price wants to resolve these auctions. That could be something that does occur. It seems like these auctions were resolved every single time. So if the pattern holds, I wouldn't be shocked to see that 12.19 unfinished auction on that run up here for price to go down to there and resolve it. You can even see that before price fell, we had an unfinished auction that was resolved, and then price fell. We had an unfinished auction here that was resolved, and one that was perfectly resolved there. So maybe you can actually look at altcoins such as ADA-M19. Really, any coin that has a very, very, very tight order book is going to be able for you to use. I've never looked at BNB BTC for this. I don't think it's going to be that helpful. Yeah, security not found. Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you, ATAS. I'll go back to my bread and butter XBT USD to finish this up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this super short video. I know 10 minutes or 11 minutes or 12 or whatever this is going to be is not like super short, but for me, I guess this is like a short length because my videos are typically like 25 minutes or longer, even than 25 minutes. But what's the main takeaway? Let's close this off and just talk about the takeaways from unfinished auctions. How can we put this into a system? Well, this is going to get this indicator gives you an indication that most indicators don't. I mean, you can try to use these potentially as support or resistance, but more as just magnetization. So like I'd said before, if you see many unfinished auctions to the upside, then we can be reasonably confident that price is going to have an easier time going higher to resolve those transactions and to allow price to continue to transact at levels that people want to trade at. And if you see not many unfinished auctions, above price, then you can expect that price is probably not going to really want to move in that direction. How you trade this is completely up to you. If you wanted to, you could see, oh, price is falling, price is falling, price is falling. Let me buy and try to target that unfinished auction for my, because I think price is going to rise. Or even here, this would have been a pretty cool short-term trade as well. We have an unfinished auction here. We have an unfinished auction here. You could have maybe shorted here and then, taken profit because that auction was perfectly resolved there. And then maybe gone long and had that. Here as well. I mean, going long here and then taking profit, or going long here and then taking profit. These auctions tend to resolve very quickly. Like this one even resolved pretty quickly. I don't know the percentage chance. I mean, like who does, or the percent time that these auctions do resolve. But you can see that more often than not, price does like to actually go back to these levels and continue to trade. You can take advantage of this by trying to target price magnetizing, price moving toward that direction. You can see price tried to resolve this auction but failed. And we have a lot of unfinished auctions down here because, quick uptrend, that's kind of what you get. But yeah, if you do start trading unfinished auctions, one, use Confluence. Don't just use this by itself. That's not a good idea. Two, definitely don't just bet your whole bankroll on price resolving an unfinished auction because it might not. Like these, you don't want to like try to short here, try to resolve these auctions. You're going to want to look for other factors of influence, other factors of confluence that will tell you, hey, no, price is likely to actually go down. And definitely use a stop loss with the strategy, and definitely have a plan in place if these auctions don't really work out. But personally, many traders that I've talked to seem to really like this indicator. So you can go check it out. I think I've done enough talking today. I said I was going to do like max of like 12 minutes. Now we're like at 13 something. Great. But I recommend you play around with this indicator. Play around with different kinds of coins. Play around with different kinds of time frames, and maybe play around with trading this on a tiny bit of capital, or on demo trading this. Of course, that is not financial advice because I am not a financial advisor. Always got to put that in so I don't get sued. Okay. With that, happy trading, guys, and I'll see you in the comments section and in my Gravity Discord talking about unfinished auctions. Peace.